Trial Lawyers University, where the Titans come to train. Produced and powered by LawPods.
All right, we got Nick Rowley back with us today. Nick, where are you coming to us from?
Montana, Big Sky.
Big Sky. I almost made it out there once upon a time for our ski program that we came up with to be our fundraiser for your medical malpractice reform thing, but that didn't quite work out. But it did work out because we went to Tahoe instead, and now we go to Tahoe every year. So within every adversity, there's a seed of equivalent or greater benefit. So Nick, you're in Montana today, so it's pretty, well, what is it? Not too early in the morning. So how'd you start your day off today, Nick?
Well, I woke up a little after, I woke up at 5 a.m. and I did not a cold plunge, but I take a cold shower every morning. Right away when I wake up, get up, I go straight into the cold shower, 30 to 60 seconds. That wakes you up. Make sure you get that cold water, open your mouth, get it in every nook and cranny, every crevice, every part of you. And by the time you do that, it'll be 30 to 60 seconds. You'll be wide awake. And your brain, will be cranking at that point, as opposed to, getting up slowly and getting a cup of coffee. And I want to get up and I want to move.
Dude, I'm guilty, just so you know, but I'm working on it because you're my health mentor. Because one of the things we're talking about later is mentors. We got mentors of trial practice, mentors in business, and mentors in health. And so I think you're a lot of people's health mentor, because I was talking to Claggett this morning and he said he's going out to Resilience Code.
Oh yeah, he's great. So after that, brushed my teeth, drank a glass of water, and started my day. How did I start my day? I read a little bit of a book that I've been reading, and so I try to do something that isn't law related, whether it's reading or whether it's meditating, even for just 5 minutes, just acknowledging that I'm here, I'm present, in this lifetime, in this universe, and feeling gratitude for all that I have, gratitude for my family, gratitude for just being alive. So I wake up every day, and that's my routine. Then within an hour of waking up, I'm doing a workout. I work out with the trainer, Tate. A lot of you, who come to TLU will meet Tate, and we work out 5-6 days a week. So I work out for an hour. After that, I see my kids off to school, or I drive them to school. I didn't drive them to school today because I had this podcast with you. But my favorite thing to do is in the morning after working out is to take my kids to school. I ate a healthy breakfast, consumed some protein, did a cold plunge, after my workout, sauna, heat your body up for, at least 15 minutes at, 150 to 170 degrees. So that cold plunge, showered up, got through my emails. I'm all caught up. Don't have anything I'm sure I probably have 50 more now if I were to check them. Handled a couple phone calls, and here I am doing this podcast with you. Drinking 2 cups of beef bone broth, because bone broth is very healthy. I try to do that. I make sure I drink a full thing of electrolytes with creatine and glutamine. Do that every morning. I'm ready to roll.
Sounds like it. That's a solid routine to get yourself fired up. But how about the last week? So, what's a day like in the life of a guy who's, accomplished what you have, and what's a day-to-day look like?
Well, if I was in trial, then I'd be up at, 4 a.m. And usually I wake up around 5:30 a.m. 5:30 would be later. Yesterday, I woke up at 4:50 a.m., but I was in California yesterday, and I flew back up to Montana yesterday evening. During trial, I'm going to do everything that I just mentioned, but I'm going to start earlier. So if I wake up at 4 a.m., by the time I'm walking into a courtroom at 8:30 a.m., I've had 4.5 hours to do everything that needs to get done to make sure that I've started my day in a way that's very healthy. I've had time to prepare for that witness or prepare for that jury selection or opening statement, whatever it is. I'll have had an hour and a half, set for that. I'll be rocking and rolling, ready to go. So the past week, Last week, I had some depositions. I haven't, done a lot of depositions over the years, but I'm I'm doing some because I'm part of this mass tort litigation that is really important. And I see the people that are working these cases up for trial, and I'm one of the trial lawyers, one of the lead trial lawyers on these cases. And I look at what they're doing. I said, you know what, I should have a part in that. And that's going to give me an understanding and also a great appreciation for the hard work that goes into putting these cases together for trial. So we did that last week in Bozeman. And then I flew down to California because it was Odin's 10th birthday. He's a double digit now. His grandmother and his great grandmother, who's 95 years old, live down in California in Ventura County. And we have a house in Ojai that we've had for a very long time. So we spent a few nights there. They also had a piano recital. Right outside my office door here, we have a nice piano that the kids are doing their piano lessons twice a week, and they do it through Zoom with their teacher. But one time a year, there's a recital. So we flew down and we were there for that. Then, let's see, yesterday, Monday, I had a deposition on a new case I was brought into about a week and a half ago, premises liability case with a severe injury, a really nice woman that needs help. And it just so happened that her deposition was yesterday, and I was in town. So I made sure I was there for that. And then I flew home to Montana, and here I am.
What that's it sounds like such a full week. You know what I mean? Of work
in Omaha. I'll be doing a trial by human seminar there.
in Omaha.
In Omaha, yep.
Is Clark coming by?
I don't know. He's welcome to. Love to see him.
I'm gonna joint text you.
Yeah,
Clark.
you should. And so, yeah, I haven't seen him in years. So I'll be in Omaha, and then I have a mediation on a case that that I got brought in on, and they wanted to mediate this, that, and I said, well, if you put up $10 million, then maybe we'll talk and we'll sit down and do a mediation with you. And they lost their mind. Well, sure enough, they put up the 10 million, so we're going to mediate. So I have that on Friday. Then I'll come home to Montana. Next week, we have to relocate to Seattle for a 2.5-month long jury trial against Monsanto, case where Courtney's going to be the lead trial lawyer. I'll be doing voir dire. She'll be doing opening statement, and the other, lead lawyers will be Colleen and Henry and Teresa. So we're actually all kind of doing an equal part of the trial. We'll be there for 2.5 months. I might have to leave Seattle a couple times to go knock out a jury trial. Maybe one in New Mexico, maybe one in Iowa. We'll see. I'll probably try a couple more while that's going on. The thing about these big trials is that, some weeks you don't have any witnesses. So what do? Well, go knock out another jury trial. That's what I do.
What else would anybody do when they don't have a witness?
Right. Come to Trial Lawyers University, which, we got to pick the jury the week that we're starting at TLU, which is frustrating. But maybe that'll change. Maybe I can, switch things around a bit. But I'll be there by Thursday at the latest.
Great. Well, we'll see about you getting there on time. Hopefully the judge will, maybe I have to give him a call. What's his name? Just joking. Hey, but there was a post today that you commented on from Bob Simon about preparation and trial, and so I guess share with us about your thoughts on the preparation process for trial and your own preparation.
Sure. Well, Bob Simon and I have kind of grown up together. He's one of my very dear friends and someone I have huge respect for. If you see the stuff he posts, he's always posting really good, thoughtful things. And his post was, hey, I think Arash Hamanpour was a part of it, who's one of the best trial lawyers out there and a good friend. And the post was talking about how you need to prepare, to go in and try a case. You've got to hone your skills. You've got to do what it takes to become a trial lawyer. And what I added to the post was saying, hey, you can walk in and try a case, at the last minute, or jump in and help somebody out, or take over a case that needs to be tried next week or tomorrow even, if you have the skills, if you put in the time, the effort, get the experience, go to Trial Lawyers University, go to the different trial, college programs that are out there, whatever it is, whether it's, the trial lawyers college, whether it's the Jerry Spence method, whether it's trial by human, trial lawyers university, you should be doing all of it. Going to Rick Friedman's programs, anything Keith Mitnick does, you should be doing all of it. That's what I've done. That's what you've done. Those of us who I think have become very successful at trying cases, our generation, we've done everything. We haven't subscribed to one specific school of thought. We go out and we train. It's like my son who just finished culinary school. It's like, what do you do now? I said, well, how about go to Italy and learn how to make pizza? If he's into sushi, well, go to Japan and do a little program there and really learn about sushi. Same thing with practicing law and being a trial lawyer. But learn all the different techniques, because one technique and one method might not work in one case versus, it might work in another.
And that is why, that's why, back during the pandemic, when I started to get a chance to meet all these great trial lawyers and understand their processes, it really, because I'd been exposed, to the trial lawyers college and, different methodology, read the reptile, like dogmatic philosophies. But what I realized from doing all these webinars and interviewing so many people is that there's so many different philosophies that work for different people. And so that's what a university is, a collection of different thinking processes, different ways of doing things. Like the way you do it isn't the same way as Claggett or Panish or, Amanpour or D. Robertus. I mean, you guys they're all so very different with, but the thing that you guys all do is like you almost all have like this, almost like a justice trance, like just focus on what you're doing with everything you got and just draws all of whatever skills that you have to put into play to execute whatever you're doing. And that's what it's about. It's the ability to execute and draw from different ideas. So, and so if you get called at the last minute, let's just say, somebody hears this podcast and they got this case of their life going in a week, but they feel like, they really need help. They really need help because, it's hard. It's hard on those big cases, especially if you haven't been there before. So if somebody called you with just a week's notice, what kinds of things would you be doing to get ready to try that case to the best of your abilities in just that short a period of time?
Let me meet the client right away. I need to connect with the human being, whose case, who does this case belong to? All right. You might think as the lawyers, it's our case. No. It's the client's case. It's the human being. So I want to meet that individual. I want to meet that individual's family members, friends. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that human connection and get that burning inside. So I truly care. Then, I'm going to look at depositions. I'm going to look at anything I possibly can get my hands on. Maybe I'll stay up all night. It's kind of my MO. If I get a case the night before, I'll just, stay up till some crazy hour. I used to go, days and days without sleeping much. You remember those days, but I need a little more sleep now.
You're older.
I have a lot more experience now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the case and say, all right, how long is the trial going to be? Where's it at? What do I need to do to get everything pieced together? What's the most important piece of evidence in the case for the plaintiff? What's the most important piece of evidence, for the defense? What's the good? What's the bad? What's the ugly? All right, let's look at it. And, I'm not going to dive into the case and necessarily follow the direction that the lawyer who's bringing me in on the case wants me to go. I'm going to try to, take a 30,000 foot view and draw from my own experience and tell that lawyer, wait, well, hold on. I know you think that's important and it is important, but I need something else right now. What I really need to do is I need to make a connection, with the client and his wife, or, let's see a case that I tried earlier this year. It turned out there really weren't any lay witnesses to tell the story of this man who had passed away, who had died. I said, well, he's got a daughter. It's not his biological daughter, but she considered him her dad and he considered her his daughter. What does she have to say? And I said, oh, no, we're not talking to her. The wife, doesn't want her involved with this case. She's an emotional wreck. We're not going to talk to her. I said, no, bullshit. I want to meet with her, and I want to meet with her today. And so I met with her today, and she turned out to be a phenomenal witness. I learned so much about this man, and I was able to walk in a week later, do an opening statement, and tell his life story and talk about him as a human being, because I was able to see the case in a way that nobody else had seen it, just through talking to her. And I put her on the stand, and she testified in the case. Defense kind of lost their mind, but she testified, and she wasn't necessarily the most important witness, but she really teed it up for her mother's testimony. And I think without talking to her, without learning what I did from her the week before trial, I wouldn't have had the result that we had in the case, and that the jurors wouldn't have connected with the case the way that they did. So, it's always different, but I'm going to look at what hasn't been done. What hasn't been done. And I want to go in and I want to try a case that the defense doesn't see coming. And oftentimes, the way a case has been litigated, with this, entrenched warfare going back and forth, people think the case is about this or that. And certainly those are important, pieces maybe. But hold on, there's a whole story there that nobody's told. And when you get up in your opening statement and you tell that story, the defense is like, whoa, we didn't see that coming. They don't know how to respond to it. They freak out. And you've connected with the human story in a way that nobody else has. When you share that with the jury, that's it. Everything's possible.
Nick, let me ask you just to transition a little bit. I want to talk to you now about teaching and the importance of teaching, not just being a mentor to a lot of people, but the people that helped you on your journey, the mentors you've had. Because you and I met now it's since been 20 years. And, when we met, nobody had heard of Nick Rowley. You were just a person with a lot of energy and a dream to become a famous trial lawyer. And, and you've accomplished your dream. But can you tell us a little bit about the people that, really impacted your life and how they have so, and how so?
Sure. Well, there are a lot of people that have impacted my life. I'd say the first lawyer that really had an impact on my life would have been, would be Jerry Spence, because he had represented Randy Weaver, who was from my hometown in Iowa, in the Ruby Ridge case. And I learned that, sometimes the government is wrong. Sometimes the police are wrong. And sometimes what everybody thinks, is the truth is wrong. And as lawyers, it's our job to take this, this story or this belief that people have in something and to show them the truth. And that's what Spence did in that case when he got Randy Weaver acquitted, and then when he represented Randy Weaver's family in the civil case and won the civil case to the tune of, many millions of dollars. I lived, through the Ruby Ridge case, because it was all over the news. It was there was the OJ case, there was Waco, and there was Ruby Ridge. Those were the first three things that were, that I recall, being on the news and being where they're actually, there with live cameras, and there's a whole, there's a shootout going on between the FBI, and the reporters are coming back and talking about this, crazy guy shooting at the feds, and people are, basically calling for his head. I'm like, God, that, this guy's, and people in our hometown knew Randy Weaver as somebody who was a troublemaker and who, butted heads with the law. So everybody was basically, calling him out as a criminal and blaming him. And it turns out that there was a false story being told. So I thereafter, followed Jerry Spence. My grandmother, lived out on the farm, would, send me a Jerry Spence book or cut out, clippings in the paper whenever he was in the paper, whenever he was in the Des Moines Register, or any story, from Jerry Spence, I'd get it. And when I joined the military and I'd, come back home on leave, and I'd stop at my grandmother's farm, and she'd have a folder there with Jerry Spence clippings and another Jerry Spence book. So Jerry was probably my first mentor. Another mentor that I had was my next door neighbor in Iowa, who was a judge. He was actually the judge who presided over my juvenile cases. I was standing tall before the man as a kid, getting in trouble. And Judge Bill Ostlin was someone who happened to just live right next door. And he talked to me a number of times and showed that he cared and was compassionate. And he told me, he goes, you'd really make a good lawyer someday. But you got to go to school, you got to get a degree, and you got to stay out of trouble. And that always stuck with me. And when I went to get licensed in Iowa, I needed to get, and I guess a letter of recommendation from a judge, and Judge Ostlin was the judge who wrote that for me and vouched for me. Then there was Michael Hemming. I got certified as a law student during law school and started trying cases, and I worked under Mike Hemming.
Is he out in California?
Yeah, he's in California. He still practices law, and his son Michael Hemming is a good friend of mine. He sold me my first house, and I'd go from courtroom to courtroom, case to case with Mike Hemming. I did trials with him, and I worked under another lawyer named Keith Holmes, who we shared like a floor in a building, and I got to try cases. I also worked under Brian Brandt. I don't know if you know Brian. Brian was a mentor of mine. And Brian actually was the one who, as I was preparing to try a case as a law student, I'm like, wow, I got to pick the jury, Brian. What do I do? And he gave me Jerry Spence VHS tapes on voir dire, like VHS tapes. Like, wow. And Brian, and he goes, these are really important to me. Make sure you bring them back. So I watched the Jerry Spence tapes over and over and over again, and I brought them back to Brian. I went in and picked the jury and tried the case, and learned a lot from him. Actually, my goal coming out of law school was to partner up with Brian. I think he'll tell you it's probably the worst business decision he ever made.
I remember being back at his office out in like the Inland Empire. You and I were there with him. It was probably 18 years ago or so. Like we were working on something to do with trial. He had a trial going or something. I can't quite remember, but I remember spitballing it there. And that's where speaking of Spence and the Trial Lawyers College, that's where you and I connected for several years, and roommates there for a while, and rode that course for many years. It was a good times out there at that ranch during the summer.
Yeah. Rick Friedman has been a huge mentor of mine. Gary Dordick's played a huge role in my life. Brian Panish has always been there for me. And there are a lot of lawyers I could, I've been blessed. I'm really grateful that I've learned so much, and I wanted to be a great trial lawyer. So I'd, grab anybody that I could, and say, hey, what can I learn from you? What advice do you have? And I can't think of anybody who told me to go, take a hike.
No, it's like
everyone out there cared. I read everything and I listen to everything that Keith Mitnick does. And, I'd say at this point in my career, I've learned a lot from Rick Friedman. He's been a huge part of my life, especially in the past, 3 to 5 years.
Right. How many trials have you done with him on the Monsantos?
I've only done one trial with Rick. Yeah. One trial. We've prepared others, and, we have this other Monsanto case starting, which we were going to try, and then it got continued. And then he's in LA right now, about to try a case. So anyone who could get down to downtown LA and watch Rick Friedman in trial, you should do it.
Wow.
He is the most understated lawyer you will ever meet.
I agree. I saw him speak one time.
There's no one else out there who has his credibility. Not that I've met.
What kind of cases he tried? Do you know?
It's an antitrust case. It's a huge case that's been going on for close to 20 years, if I'm correct. It's been up on appeal, back down, and
Wow. It's amazing what perseverance it takes to get through a case. Do you know, yesterday, on a quick side note, my good friend Giorgio, who tried a case with his mom, and they did it on Zoom, and it was a burn case.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
that they got $25.5 million
Yeah,
on it. And
amazing.
And yesterday they resolved it for a confidential amount, of course, but let's just say it's a whole new day in all of their lives. It's that bridge to better tomorrow. This is that bridge. So I'm so stoked for him and his mom. She's 64 years old. She was 62. She hadn't tried a case, I think, in 12 years. And she did everything to get ready. She took Roger Dodd's class. She did my boot camp twice. I only met her because she subscribed to TLU On Demand, and she was like the third subscriber. And then she called me and said, my son's looking for a job. He just lost his job. He just got fired from the defense. Can you know anybody that's hiring? And I'm like, well, let me meet your son and get to know him, and then I could say, okay, I can vouch for him. And so this long journey, it was his first jury trial, her like maybe eighth one. And yesterday it resolved. And so they're going to be at TLU.
I got to introduce their case and have them talk at TLU in Huntington Beach.
Yes.
So I met them.
Yes. And so I'm going to give them an hour in Vegas to tell the story, because it's such a beautiful story. It's more than a trial. It's a story of perseverance. It's a story of overcoming self-doubt. It's a story of family. I mean, two families, not just the client's family, but his family, him and his mom. It has to be a record verdict for a mother-son trial team, I would think. There's not a lot of them out there, so. But anyways, that was the most uplifting news of yesterday. So, when people work so hard, anything can happen, right? I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
63 years old to take on a trial that massive against 8 defense lawyers and not to be afraid and to stand up for you and your client. And man, what a journey. What a journey. So that was the great, exciting news. But Nick, let's talk about Trial Lawyers University. You go to a lot of conferences, you speak and you teach at a lot of conferences. Tell them, what's your experience with TLU?
Well, I've seen it, from its inception. It's actually really how I met Sean Claggett, who, for those of you out there, if you want a lawyer to follow and a lawyer to learn from, somebody who is just always thinking about the next, cutting edge, stuff in our field, it's Sean Claggett. There's really nobody like him out there. I'm really proud to have become better friends with him, and we're learning from each other. He's just amazing, and most importantly, an amazing human being. Him and his partners, they are in it for the right reasons, and they will burn it all to the ground for the right reason. So you think of like a showboat, greedy lawyer who has this huge ego, and they're like the opposite of that. Just really special humans who I've got to know through you and TLU, which I'm grateful for. So I've seen TLU, since it began, and I've seen it evolve into what I believe hands down is the best program that has ever existed for trial lawyers. I'm so proud of what you've done, and those who have worked with you to put it together. You've just done a great job, Dan. You found your niche, and you've done something that is elevated and continues to elevate our profession. The programs, I mean, you find amazing places to do these events. It's really, I will not go back to Las Vegas. I said, I'm never going back to Las Vegas again. It's an unhealthy place to be. And I just don't, I don't care what seminar is going on there. I don't need to go to Las Vegas. I've been there enough times for legal programs. I'm going back because it's TLU. And yeah, I can't think of anything else that would draw me back to Las Vegas. And, outside of Las Vegas, like where, Sean and them live, the casinos, that's the thing, is just being there in the smoke. I, come away feeling gross, but we're going to put on an amazing, health track during TLU. And that's something that you're not only open to, but it's something that you want for your program. is to provide healthy options and health alternatives for people that are in our field, which you don't see anywhere else. So yeah, I see that there's more variety. You're bringing lawyers in from all around the country, and it's not just this. All right, here's a program, and so knows so, and we're putting it together. And I I don't want to badmouth any other programs out there, because I think anyone that's out there putting together big events to help with continuing legal education, that it's a good thing and it's important. But those out there, especially those organizations that have been doing it for a really long time, and they're still kind of doing it the same way, they could really learn a lot from you and the way you're putting your programs together. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
but just aside, my goal is like anybody that's a state TLA director or a local TLA, I will give them a free ticket to come to TLU to see what it's about. If anybody ever wants, my help in, designing their programs, my insights, how to do the workshops, because like most people never leave their state organization. And so if we want the world to be better, we have to find a way to go to them, and not, because they don't know what they're missing. They just don't know what they're missing.
We do. And we really need to, that we do have AAJ, but we need more. We need an organization that is really going to, take people from different states and bring them together as allies. We have tort reform that was, recently attempted in Alabama, and it wasn't successful, but it will be successful the next time it comes around. So I don't practice in Alabama. I've never done a case in Alabama, but I'm, getting together with folks there to work on not just a defense, but an offense to the tort reform bills that we know that the dark side are going to try to pass in the next year or two. So we need to use this platform and this forum, Dan, to get people together to help the folks in Alabama, to help the folks in other states that the dark side is coming for. Because what we've failed to do historically as trial lawyers is support our brothers and sisters and comrades in the state next to us, or the state on the other side of the country. We've got to start helping each other, because the defense has, and not the defense, but the insurance industry in corporate America, the dark side, has succeeded by dividing us and conquering, bit by bit. And what we see happening in Nevada right now with Uber's bill to try to cap attorney's fees, for example, who from California is helping with that? Who from other states are helping the folks in Nevada? They're not. Well, what do you think is going to happen if Uber succeeds there? They're going to come and they're going to get it done in other states. We need to care about what is happening to justice and the access to justice in other states, just as much as we care about what's happening in our own states. Because if we don't, when we need help, nobody's going to be there for us.
There's an organization, I think the name is Justice Watch.
Justice Watch? Yeah.
What's that about?
Well, Justice Watch is an organization that we've started. It is at its inception right now. Our first project has been in Montana to make sure that a very awful judge does not become the next Montana Supreme Court justice. His name is Dan Wilson, and he's bad news for Montana. So Justice Watch actually worked with a coalition in Montana to form a PAC, which is a separate, and we have done a separate independent expenditure campaign to make sure that we don't end up with a very bad person on the Montana Supreme Court, because there's a $250,000 med mal cap in Montana. That's got to go. And you get that judge on there, it's going to stay. Because, look at who's running him. It's the dark side. It's dark money from DC. They're the ones that want this guy on the Supreme Court. The purpose of Justice Watch is to preserve access to justice nationally. So we're planning on having, individual chapters in each state We need leadership in each separate state. And if there's a judge who's a bad judge or not doing the job that judge should be doing, then you can reach out to Justice Watch, and Justice Watch will actually make a complaint against that judge, challenge that judge before the Judicial Council, maybe run a campaign to make sure that judge gets disrobed and doesn't get reelected. Or if there's an opening and there's a bad judge running for a seat in the judiciary, whether it's as a circuit or district court judge, or as a appellate judge, or an appellate court justice, Supreme Court justice, well, Justice Watch can get involved and make sure that we do all that we can to make sure that bad individual doesn't end up with a robe and given the ability and the power to cause decades of harm to people and to our justice system. So if there are good judges that need to be promoted and should be put on the bench, then we can help with that too. So that's Justice Watch, and we'll have a lot more to say about it at TLU.
Yep, and they have a booth at TLU, so some representatives coming, so more people can learn about it from other than just you.
Think about it. Do you know what Judicial Watch is? Look it up. Type in judicialwatch.com. It's awful. And Judicial Watch is run by the insurance industry and corporate America, and those who want to restrict our Seventh Amendment right to a jury trial. Judicial Watch wants judges who are going to keep caps in tort reform in place. This is the organization that wants to put judges in that are going to restrict your civil rights and make sure that trucking companies can run negligent drivers through the state of Iowa and kill and maim and paralyze people and cap the value of their lives and pain and suffering at a low amount. It's a bad organization, and it's been around for a long time, and nobody's responded to it. There's been no answer to Judicial Watch. Well, now there is, and we're going to kick the shit out of them.
I'm ready.
Good.
All right. So TLU Vegas, you, Sean Claggett, and David Ball are doing a 2-hour session on Saturday on nuclear verdicts. And I know you guys are getting together to collaborate to write another book because you don't have enough to do. So tell us about that presentation. Because I just on a side note, I created a Saturday only ticket because some people can't work and can't get there, and they always come for the weekend, hang out, learn, just quick. So anyways, so tell us, if people come to that Saturday session, what are they going to learn?
You're going to learn that, nuclear verdicts it's a big deal. This book, it's become a trend. You now have politicians talking about nuclear verdicts and lobbyists talking about nuclear verdicts. We're seeing a new wave of tort reform and legislation and ballot measures that are attacking trial lawyers and attacking, the access to civil justice. Well, nuclear verdicts, that book, and those teachings, which are false and it's propaganda, it's bullshit. It's a big part of this new wave of tort reform. So we need to respond to it, and we need to expose it for the farce that it really is. You have lobbyists going to politicians now and saying, oh, there are these nuclear verdicts. Oh, nuclear verdicts, that sounds bad, right? And a nuclear verdict is defined as, do you know what it's defined as?
No.
Anything over $10 million, which is fucking ridiculous, because you've got, that there's a case that Sean Claggett, I actually got brought in. We were going to try a case together, and the case didn't end up going to trial. We settled the case for a very, very large amount of money, that would really be mind blowing to a lot of people, but it's not. It's, Sean and I would say, like, is that really enough? Is that full justice? Well, it's what the families wanted. So if they're content, okay. But if we would have tried that case, the verdict would have been over $100 million, and that would be considered nuclear. Well, why? Why would a verdict over $100 million be nuclear when, people had been killed, right? There's been generational injury to a family, to multiple families, where people suffered in an excruciating, unimaginable way before they died. Why would that be nuclear? You take a case, you got a intoxicated driver blowing through a stop sign at 60 miles an hour, or through a stoplight and plowing into somebody and rendering them quadriplegic or brain damage for the rest of their life, and a verdict over $10 million for that is nuclear. That's ridiculous. It's bullshit. And insurance, right? Insurance 99% of the time is covering those verdicts. So there's no impact on society. There's no impact on society in a way that's bad for society. If anything, the impact is we're deterring future behavior like that. So why would we lobby against a person's right to go win a very large jury verdict when it's the only way that you can actually do something about really awful behavior that maims, disables, and kills? Why? Who does that serve? Right? It serves the insurance industry. That's it. It serves corporate America. It doesn't serve the people to pass laws that restrict people's civil rights. So, this book, we want to break it down and just show why it is just absolute bullshit, and why these techniques, that people are afraid of, they really don't work. If you know how to try a case and you know how to respond to the different, techniques that they've set forth in these books, and this guy, Bob Tyson, I've known him since the beginning of his career. So I can actually talk a bit about him and who he is. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to break it all down. I don't want to give too much away, but we've got a full outline that, Sean and David Ball have worked on for, I think, over a year. And we're going to write an epic rebuttal to that book, debunking nuclear verdicts and other frivolous defenses. Might sound like that. That might be the title. We'll see.
Well, in addition to that, you're doing a lot of other presentations in Vegas. You got one. It's a settlement opportunity and not a demand.
Right.
So tell us about your rephrasing, because I know this is, anybody who says a demand letter or it's like, no. These are just settlement. We're not demanding anything. They're getting an opportunity to. So
that's right. Well, do you like it when people are demanding? No,
not really.
Think about it. Here's my demand, right? You're going to say, you know what? Screw you. That's what you're demanding. Instead, I'm providing you with an opportunity, a settlement opportunity, a reasonable settlement opportunity, an opportunity to protect the insured policyholder defendants in this case, the ones who are going to be held out to dry if there's an excess verdict. So here's an opportunity to protect them, an opportunity to do what you're supposed to do if you look at your insurance contract and your duties under the law, an opportunity to act in good faith, an opportunity to avoid not acting in bad faith, and an opportunity to avoid the consequence of getting hit with a verdict that is a whole lot more, right? I'm giving you an opportunity. And if you want to blow that opportunity, well, that's up to you. And there are going to be consequences. They're going to spell out what those consequences are in a very straightforward but respectful way. Someday, a jury might end up reading this letter. And if they see it's a demand, what are they going to think of that? As opposed to it's an opportunity. Just roll that around. And
rolling.
It's worked very, very well. And not just for me, but for countless other individuals.
Yeah, I could see that. Just opening the mind up more too, without getting people immediately defensive.
Right.
When you start demanding shit, opportunity is more of a conversation. It's like,
sure,
let's talk about it. We can work it out. Great. If not, right. I understand. A lot of times we just have to have the jury resolve our little misunderstanding we're having here. I get it.
And here's the other thing: is if I'm demanding something and you don't give it to me, now I'm all bent out of shape, right? I'm demanding something and, you don't respect me, whatever. And it just creates this energy. Let's take that away. If you don't accept my settlement opportunity, okay, that's fine.
Because in Vegas, it's not just you though, but it's your trial by human trial lawyers for justice team that, because it takes a team to do big cases and to do a lot of justice, because you can't do every case, right? Not every case that, comes, to your vision are you able to do, but you got Jacob Norman, you got Dan Shar, you got, the list of folks that, John Kawai, Tom Dickerson, all these people that are in your network that
Henry Pecor,
are great lawyers.
Bruno, yeah, we've got
right. There we go.
A lot of great individuals. Sean Simpson, I think, might be coming, who wrote, actually, there's Sean's book here.
Oh, he's definitely coming.
Punitive Damages.
Right.
This is Sean's book. He's part of Trial Lawyers for Justice. There's a foreword by John and Eric Romano. It's a great book. Really, really good. Wow. Actually, let's see. Punitive Damages is a long overdue masterpiece written by real... Sorry, let me start again. Punitive Damages is a long overdue masterpiece written by a real trial lawyer for the right reasons. If there were ever a tool or guide for lawyers to follow in their efforts towards achieving full justice through prosecuting punitive damages cases, this is it. After more than 22 years of practicing law, reading this book taught me how to be better and accomplish more for the humans I represent. The more lawyers and hopefully judges who read this book, the better our civil justice systems will be. Thank you, Sean, for teaching and inspiring us.
I assume you wrote that?
Yep. Right up above that is Brian Panish. This book is a step-by-step guide for handling punitive damages cases. Any lawyer who has not tried a punitive damages case to verdict should read this book, even those who try punitive damages cases. This book is a great refresher and provides some new twists. Good reads, specific examples, great addition to the Trial Guides library. It's from Brian Panish. And you got David Paul, you've got David Casey, you've got Mike Elder, you've got, Teresa Bowen Hatch, Sarah, all these great lawyers that have written comments on this book and who recommend it. It's a darn good book.
And on top of that, Trial Guides is coming to this conference. And so I think they'll bring a lot of books. So, because they have so many authors there, I'm always like, why did you guys come here? I see at these other conferences, you got at least 15 authors on different stages.
Yeah.
From, Joe Freed and Philip Miller and Sean Simpson and Sari De Lamotte and Jesse Wilson. Those are the Trial Guides people off the top of my head. But, Claggett's got his Jury Ball book. Satch Oliver just released.
That's a great book. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Yeah, Satch Oliver just released the book, Depositions at Trial. He's got a $140 million verdict last week against Kroger in a trucking case in some small town in Arkansas.
It's awesome.
So I think he'll be rolling in hot, fired up into TLU. Nothing like better than going to a conference right after you get a big verdict, though. I haven't done it myself, but I just think about, because everybody knows about it, like, hey, tell us about your case. Matter of fact, I wouldn't mind. Give me a couple minutes.
One thing that I love when I'm in Vegas, it's one thing, and it's, when I said I'm not going to Vegas anymore, it's the one thing that really made me sad, is I love the Cirque du Soleil shows. So on Friday, Saturday night, if someone wants to go to a Cirque du Soleil show, we're bringing a bunch of people, and, reach out. Let me know.
That'd be fun.
Doing a nice dinner, and then, each night going to a show.
And that's great entertainment, because we like to provide people lots of entertainment, but just to give everybody a quick overview of what Vegas looks like, because on Wednesday, October 16th, we got Nick Rowley and his crew going for a hike on a historic railroad trail. So that'd be fun and social and healthy. You got Sean Claggett taking 144 of his closest friends to Valley High to do a little golf. And then Kurt Zahner's taking 20 people out to the desert to ride ATVs. And then Ben Rabinowitz, do you know Ben out of New York City?
Yeah.
What a guy he is. He's teaching an expert cross-examination masterclass. And Michael Cowan, do you know Michael, a trucking guy out of San Antonio?
I do.
He wrote a book too, just Big Rig Justice, just published it. So, and he's going to be teaching a one-day master class on October 16th on trucking. And so that's Wednesday. And Wednesday night, you and Sean Claggett are co-hosting the most kick-ass opening party TLU's ever had on the patio outdoor space. It's the terrace at Omnia Nightclub. It's a spectacular space. You guys are going to be like, I know you're not much for clubs or bars, but this is not a regular club. This is outdoors, and we're going to have non-alcoholic beverages for people who choose not to drink. It's really going to be something special. And then
we're going to have yoga in the mornings. We're going to have fitness.
Well, let's talk about that.
We're going to have a cold plunge. We're going to have a whole gym set up. So if you want to work out, you want to get on track with your health, it's never too late. And it's always
6 a.m. What's the start time down there at the health?
7 a.m. 7 a.m. for the yoga. And then the workout, and Tate will be there, all day long.
All right. Well, breakfast starts at 7:30. So we got a full breakfast for everybody, bacon and eggs and everything for breakfast. So that goes from 7:30 to 9. And then we have class from 9 to 12:30. Which is pretty excited about. And then lunch, we provide a hosted lunch, great food for everybody from 12:30 to 2. And then class goes till 5:30. And for class, you have 9 lecture tracks you could choose from. So many great lawyers to choose from. But it's all being recorded too, because some people are like, I get so frustrated, I can't do everything at once. Well, I like, not everybody, I like having a little bit smaller groups, no more than like 100, 150, but because it's more intimate, it's more of a courtroom setting, and they can connect with people. And we have all these great lawyers with so much to share. I mean, you and your team, Claggett and his team, Joe Freed and Satch Oliver, Brian Panish and Rahul Ravapudi and their team, the Sari De Lamottes, the Jesse Wilsons, the consultants track. We have got such as the greatest collection of trial talent I've ever, I've been part of.
And Ross Shamanpour is going to come, right? We're going to go to Ross.
Yes, he is. I got to give him a call right now. He'll be making his debut because all of his buddies like you and Panish are there. And it's good to be amongst friends.
Something I want to, and you can maybe clip this out or something. When you're at Trial Lawyers University, I kindly and humbly ask you to visit the In Oceana booth. In Oceana is a nonprofit that Courtney and I helped start many years ago. It is dedicated to saving our oceans. If you look at the global warming and what's occurred over the past decade, over half of the coral in the world is dead, and we're trying to find a way to bring it back. We are involved with expanding protected waters to make sure that Chinese fishing boats aren't allowed to come in and shark fin and destroy shark populations. There are a number of great projects that we've been working on, and it would mean a lot if you came by the booth and if you got involved, sign up, give $1 a month or something. It would mean a lot and make a difference, because imagine if 10, 15, 20 years from now, our oceans don't have any coral, or if we don't have the ocean marine life that, we don't have the ocean marine life that we had 20 years ago today. So we need to do something about it. And that's a project that's very dear to our heart. We're going to have Carlos there from Barcelona, Spain. You can talk to him. He's one of the most passionate individuals you'll ever meet, and other members of the nonprofit. So I hope you swing by.
Yeah, I'm excited to have them. And Stuart Frankel's all fired up.
Yeah, Stu's
coming. And, but besides, in addition to these great lecture tracks, there's some great workshops with small group training on Henry P. course, teaching a couple. One of his is sold out. Haitham Faraj is teaching an all-day Saturday trial class.
Now there's somebody. Haitham is someone that I practiced law with for about 15 years. And he didn't do civil cases when we got together and started practicing. And he's part of Trial Lawyers for Justice. I learned so much from Haitham now. He has become a great trial lawyer, just phenomenal. The cases he's winning are cases I don't think anyone else could win, cases that I don't think I could win. He's an amazing human being, a true brother, and someone you should follow and listen to.
Yeah, but there's just so much opportunity for for a lot of people like lectures, but like Giorgio, we were just talking about him. He's teaching several workshops on that, just on presentation, on eye contact, facial expression control, hand movement, the stuff, honestly, that a lot of the stuff that we teach you're very, very good at, because, and I only think it's because you studied what other lawyers did and saw what they were doing to get the connection. Because most people, they're just not very good at presenting, and because they've never been coached on it, they never gotten feedback on it. The only time they ever do it is in trial, and then it's like there's so much. That's not practicing. That's performing.
Yeah. Mike Alder, isn't Mike Alder coming?
Yes.
Is he going to be doing some presentations?
He's doing a 3-hour presentation on insurance coverage, because a couple of the guys that work with him used to run Allstate or Geico in California, that how insurance companies evaluate lawyers. So he's fired up about that. He's doing 1 hour on depositions, a lecture, and then he's doing a 3-hour, I think, deposition workshop.
Yeah, Mike and Gina are dear friends of ours. Courtney and Gina went to law school together, and I've known Mike pretty much my entire career. Mike actually saved my career once, and he's been a true, amazing, loyal friend for a very long time, and just a great trial lawyer and wonderful human. So, yeah, make sure you take some time to go see what Mike Alder is doing.
I just got to know him a lot better recently, and
isn't he great?
Yeah, he really is. It's like a lot of really positive energy, really kind, giving, supportive. It just, it just so many so many people say, "Oh man, it's got to be tough dealing with all those massive egos." I'm like, there's a few of them, but the 99% of the people just the most wonderful, giving, kind human beings that, you just got to get it. If you talk to them, you'll know it. That's why I love TLU so much, because everybody's
just there. You've created that. You've created a place where everybody can come and put their egos aside, right? You really have. You've created something very beautiful, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate it. I mean, I'm just so excited because, and the community building, because we're gonna have Thursday night an '80s party. And we have great music, We're giving Lottie Gras a run for their money. That's all I want to say with the musical stuff we got going on here. And Friday night is our Halloween costume party with live band karaoke. So
really, Halloween costume?
Yes. I hope you'll get dressed up, because it's so much fun when people get dressed up. Claggett, he's not a dresser upper, but see if you get Claggett to. I had a golf party for him on Saturday at TLU Huntington Beach. Just because I knew it's like golf. I could dress up like a golfer. I'm like, okay, I probably got a theme party that you'll get into. So
I challenge Sean Claggett to come up with the best costume of all. There we go. There's a direct. I know we can do it. I know we can do it.
I'm going to see him on Thursday, because we're having
something too.
Okay, we're having a happy hour here on Thursday. A little pre-connect for all the Las Vegas lawyers coming to Caesar's Palace, because there's so many people in town I don't know, and it's like I gotta build my own community here. But Claggett, I was gonna say I'm going. I don't know, this might be a bad omen, but me and Noel, we're going as Trump and Kamala.
No, don't.
I know it's bad.
No, don't. Dan, that's not okay.
All right.
No, don't do Trump. He is a vile
I know.
human, but no, don't do that.
I know. I'm gonna tell Noel. Nick said no go.
People will remember you that way forever. Don't.
It's a good point. All right. Maybe I'll be Tim Walz.
You want to just disappear? Let's.
I know. Please, God, let it happen.
Glad we talked about this.
Yes. Thank you. I'll be Tim Walz.
Take it from a friend.
Okay, Tim Walz. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. That's way better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's way better.
You got it. All right, you got it.
You
buddy.
just go around telling everybody you're weird. You're weird.
Right. That's weird. What kind of? You know what?
You're so weird.
You know what? That is a great point. You're weird. I love it. I got to think, you know what? This made this podcast totally for my own personal value. All the other stuff, fixing my Halloween program. Now that's priceless.
There we go.
That's priceless. It's going to be, wait, hold on, Nick. You know what's going to be priceless? Honestly, you singing a karaoke.
I'll sing karaoke.
Sing karaoke.
All right.
You and Claggett got to come up with a duet. just for fun.
Okay.
I'm personally thinking, all right, my first choice for you guys would be Islands in the Stream. I don't know if you're familiar with the song.
Islands
Take a listen to it.
You'll have to send it to me.
I'm going to as soon as we're done. So, but let me let everybody know that if you can't make it to Vegas, it will be a big miss on your part. But
I will make it to Vegas. Absolutely. The question is whether we have to, where we'll be at with picking our jury.
Right. No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying the people listening to this podcast. Oh, because a couple of things I wanted to let people know. If anybody really wants to come and they truly can't afford it, you just shoot me an email and I'll make sure you can afford it. And if there's any law students,
I'll help. Anybody who can't afford to go, we'll help you.
Appreciate that. And any law students who hear this, or a law student that wants to become a plaintiff's lawyer, have them send, go to our website, tlulive.com, and just fill out an application for a scholarship. And there's a strong likelihood that they'll be approved. Very strong likelihood. Because I think about, my own life, our own lives. Imagine if you had an opportunity as a law student to go to TLU Vegas and to meet and to learn all this stuff and be inspired by all these people. Like what it might have, put as far as getting on the right track early. I mean, that's getting on the right track early. And if you can't make it for whatever reason, just remember everything we're doing there is being recorded, and it's not going to be on TLU On Demand, which is, an app for your phone. It not only has this conference on it, it has the last 3 years of all the conferences we've done, it has over 385 webinars, and we've collected the pleadings, transcripts, and PowerPoints for all these cases. So it's truly like a library for trial. And if you don't have it, if you shoot me an email, dan@triallawyersuniversity.com, I will send you a trial subscription so you can try it, see if you get the value from it. If you do, great. If you don't, I get it. It's not for everybody, but you won't know that if you don't even try it. And we're in the process of building a tool with AI that's going to transcribe and index these thousands of hours of content to make it very searchable and usable. So this is, I'm really excited about that because people get so much from it. Like, Giorgio and his mom, how much they tell me his mom, how much she watched it. And people using it to mentor their associates. It's like, my buddy's like, why am I coaching them? They could have Mark Kozarowski teaching them, 30B6, Roger Dodd teaching them cross-examination, Nick Rowley giving them insights on voir dire and teaching. Why do they know more than I do. And I'm busy. He's like, it's the greatest experience I've ever had. So there's really going to be a lot of great stuff, Nick, and I'm really fired up that you're coming and your team's coming, and we got so many people coming together to put this together. It's going to be epic. And so
sure is. All right, brother.
Have a fucking awesome day.
You too.
Thanks.
All right.
Ready to train with the Titans and set records with your verdicts? Register for our live conferences and boot camps at triallawyersuniversity.com. Start getting your reps in before the big event by going to tluondemand.com to gain instant access to live lectures, case analysis, and skills training videos from the trial lawyer champions you love and respect, as well as pleadings, transcripts, PowerPoints, and notes for a roadmap to victory. Join the group that continues to get extraordinary results. Trial Lawyers University, produced and powered by LawPods.